We really, really need to understand this. Like this is a big deal for the church. Every time I go to a communicators meeting, whether it's a regional one or it's an international one like GAIN, the top GC lawyers are there and they're talking about copyright with a complaint in their voice. This is hugely important. Copyright is a method of protecting an intellectual work or physical work. Okay, physical work is something like a video, a painting, a piece of music. An intellectual work could be something that was thought up, an idea or a plan. It's extremely important that we respect copyrights. When songwriters write music, what do they expect in exchange for their music? Money. Because most people don't like to starve. So they write music and they copyright it so it can't be used without paying them. Okay? If somebody paints a painting, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you go into a museum, it has artwork. Usually the really old paintings, they'll let you take a picture of, but the really new paintings, they won't let you take a picture of because the artist is still alive. And if you take a picture, you owe the artist some money because you've profited. If you pay the money, you've not infringed. You've profited in a way from their work. You haven't made money, but you profited because now you have a copy of their work. Okay, and they expect some sort of payment because they're painters and they paint for a living. If it's computer software, the companies that hire the people that write the software, they expect payment for use of the software. Okay? What's it called when you use pictures that don't belong to you? I'll give you a hint. It's one of the 10 Commandments. Stealing. Okay? It's stealing. Because you're stealing money from the person who expects to get paid, who owns it. Under the law, it's theirs. They own it. It's not yours. You can look at it, but don't profit from it. Even if that means just putting it in computer and storing it because you like to look at it every once in a while. If you copy it, if you record it, if you do anything like that, there's a copyright problem. So you are doing your video and you need a picture of the Eiffel Tower. What do? You go to Google or Yahoo or whatever search engine you like to use, and you look up Eiffel Tower, and you click on the little images tab, and there's 10,000 or more pictures of the Eiffel Tower. And you take one of those pictures and you screen grab it, or you download it, and you put it in your video. And now you have a great video with an Eiffel Tower in it. What just happened? We just broke the law because we stole it. If you go to Google or Yahoo or whatever, and you look at the picture, there'll be a disclaimer that says, this picture may be copyrighted. I can guarantee the picture is copyrighted. Okay? We can't use pictures off the internet. They don't belong to us. We can look at it because if we want to know what the Eiffel Tower looks like, we can look at it. If we reproduce it, save it to our hard drive, put it in our video, we've broken the law. Okay. If we want to use a picture of the Eiffel Tower without breaking the copyright laws, how do we do it? You would need to contact the owner. The problem is on the internet, who took the picture? Most of the time you have no idea who took the picture, which is too bad because if you called them up and said, you don't want to use your picture, most of the time they probably just say, well, use it. But they didn't say that, so you can't use it. So there's a couple ways to get a picture of the Eiffel Tower. One is you go to the airport in Accra and you fly to Paris and you take a picture of it with your own camera and then you can use it. But if you fly to Paris, if your job is edit this video for Hope Channel or for your conference or whatever, and you fly to Paris and take a picture of the Eiffel Tower, whose picture is it? It's not yours. It belongs to the conference. Because they're paying you, right? So the work that you do belongs to them. If you write an article for a magazine or edit a video, who owns it? The person who paid you to do it. You don't own it, they own it. If you want to own something, then you fly to France on your own money, with your own camera that you purchase yourself on your own time, then it's yours, okay? But if somebody's paying you to do it, it's theirs. Is that clear? Let me tell you the other way you can use an Eiffel Tower picture. You go on the internet and you type in some word like stock photo, and you look at stock photos, which are photos that are for sale, and you find a picture of the Eiffel Tower, and you click on it to download it, and it will tell you how much they charge for you to look at it. That's the legal way to do it. All right? If you are editing or say you're writing a story or doing a paper for school, that picture probably won't cost you very much. If you're doing a picture for a publication, it'll cost you more. If the publication has like millions of copies made, like the Review and Herald, it will cost you a whole lot of money for the picture. There's another thing you have to consider, is that normally the pictures don't come with any rights for video or any rights for broadcast, no rights for international broadcast, which Hope Channel Ghana is an international broadcaster. So when you buy the rights, you have to look into it, and you have to say, usually there's some choices that say how you're going to use it, and broadcast is usually one of them. You click on that, you read the terms, make sure it says it can be used for international use for as many times as you want to use it, and that's what you buy. So if you want to use it for school, it might cost you $2. $2. If you use it for international broadcast, it might cost you $50 or $500 or whatever they want for it, okay? There are companies, praise God, that have free stock photos. On your book, if you go down to past the copyright and past the thing that says graphics, you get down to where on page 17, it says sources of stock footage. Places where you can buy stock footage. There are literally hundreds of places you can buy stock footage. These are the ones that I recommend to save you some time from searching the entire internet. There's a company called Lightstock, which is an extremely good source for Christian materials. It's all Christian religious pictures, okay? And they're very favorable in pricing because they want the pictures used. Plus, on top of that, they give you a free picture and a free video and a free piece of artwork every week. The site does, yeah. Go there. They'll start sending you emails and tell you there's a new picture for you, and they'll give you one for free. Okay? But they have pictures of all sorts of religious images. The next one is Getty Images. Lightstock. Okay. Right. Hello. The next one's Getty Images. Getty Images, I believe, is the largest source of pictures on the internet. You'll pay a little bit more for it, but you're pretty sure you'll find something that you want. And if it's absolutely critical that you get a certain picture, you want a picture of people walking into the Eiffel Tower, chances are you'll find that on Getty Images. The next one is iStock, which is like Getty Images. Another one is Shutterstock. And the last two you might be the most interested in. That's Pixel and Pixabay, especially Pixabay. Pixabay photographers give their pictures for free for people to use them for free. And what they would like you to do, if possible, it's no requirement, but a request, is that if you take pictures that are pretty good, that you send them to Pixabay so that other people can use them. So that's kind of like their charge. If you're working for your employer when you take the pictures, you may want to ask before you post their pictures to the internet, but nonetheless, they're free. If we look at the legal requirements for the pictures, just above that on page 17, you want to make sure it says for international broadcast. You want to make sure the duration of use is for eternity or until Jesus comes. If it's for print, you want to select the correct distribution size, how many copies of that publication are printed, and that is for religious, nonprofit, organizational use. Because a lot of stock photo companies will give a big discount if it's for a charity. Not always, but it might be there. So check into that.
I'm sorry, it's too much.
Okay, so if you use those sources and you're up front and you tell the truth about how it's going to be used. Let's try it now. No shortage of volume now. All right, so if you check all the legal requirements and they all match and you pay for the picture, then you can use it according to the terms, but hopefully you've got all the correct terms. If you use a picture that's not yours and you get caught using it, what happens? They want you to pay. They want you to pay. At the General Conference about 15 years ago, somebody pulled a picture off the internet and put it on a PowerPoint presentation and used it. So many years later, somebody moved the PowerPoint presentation to the internet because it was useful for something, so they moved it onto the internet so other people could use it. The company that owns the picture found it in the PowerPoint presentation. The original cost of using the picture, I believe, was something like $7. But they got caught misusing it. You know what the cost was the second time? $15,000. All right, as a penalty not to do it again. So somewhere, somebody's, not somewhere, in the General Conference, $15,000 of tithe money was used to pay a bill that the church shouldn't have had to pay. How did the company find the picture? You think they have thousands of people in rooms going through the internet looking for their pictures? You know, is this one better? Okay. How did the company find that their picture was being used? They have little programs called bots that go out all through the internet and they look for things that the company owns. And it says, oh, here's something. We have that picture. This is our picture. What site is it on? Who runs this site? Let's go check to see if they ever purchased it. And if they didn't purchase it, then the bot finds out who owns the website and sends them a notice of a violation and a tremendously large bill to penalize them. That's the easier way. The harder way is that the lawyers call you on the phone and they say, you're using stuff that doesn't belong to us. And by the way, the bots doing pictures it's hard for the bots to do it, but they do it. But when it comes to music, they'll catch music like that. Everything posted to YouTube, by the way, goes through a copyright check. You ever notice, I don't know if you ever posted something and it had an extremely long delay before it showed up? There may have been something in your audio that triggered some sort of thing at YouTube to see who has rights to the music and is it you? My My son has posted things to YouTube that had things in it that didn't belong to him because he's a teenager and he thought, you know, why would that apply to me? I'm not even an adult. And we got a notice. In fact, it happened twice. This is copyrighted material, and that our ISP, our internet company, was going to cut us off if we did it again. So they are out there, they are looking. It may be an advantage to copyright infringement to be in Ghana versus the US or Western Europe or other places, because it's hard for the companies to enforce their copyright in West Africa or through most of the African continent. But it's still copyright infringement. Someone is expecting to buy food for them and their children and have a house and everything else because of the work that they do, and if you take it, it's theft. The other problem is this, and this is why the lawyers always want this topic brought up. When somebody gets sued, let me explain this. When a copyright infringement has taken place, everybody involved in the process of touching that that infringed video or picture, everyone is liable. Even if they didn't know it wasn't copyrighted. It was copyrighted. Everyone's liable for it. The one who pulled it off the internet, the one who used it in their presentation, the one who posted it on the internet site, the people running the internet site, your ISP who gave you access to the picture. Everybody is liable. So when it comes to suing somebody, how do you think they sue people for that? Are they going to sue the teenager who put it on the internet? Or are they going to sue an internet provider that's worth tens or hundreds of millions of US dollars? The teenager has nothing but a weekly allowance, and they can sue them for $10 and they might get it. But they would rather sue the internet provider because they have a lot more money and everyone is equally guilty, even if they didn't know it wasn't copyrighted, that it was copyrighted. So when it comes to something with the church, you get a church worker who's put something on the internet that shouldn't be there while they're sitting at their desk. You're liable. Conference is liable. If there's a union or mission above that, you're liable. The division's liable, which makes the general conference liable. Which one are they going to sue? They're going to sue the general conference because they have the most money. Actually, general conference legally has no money, but they hold money before they release money. Every year, general conference money goes to zero. The usable money goes to zero, and they start over again. But there is in general conference, at any given time, a fair amount of money, and the church has a worth. I don't know what it is, but if you add up all the churches and everything else and all the property that the church owns, it's probably quite a bit of money, and all of that's available to be sued. The copyright works for everything that has been produced that's artwork or is an idea, a concept of the mind. All right, that includes computer software. If you have computer software, like your copy of Windows, it needs to have come from Microsoft with the Microsoft code and the Microsoft hologram on it and everything else. Otherwise, you're stealing from Microsoft. Okay? Here's the problem with stealing from Microsoft. If they sue you, how much lawyer can you afford? Probably not much. How much lawyer can Microsoft afford? A lot. So for them to sue people, it's pretty easy, and they do it. The problem is the person who's infringed the copyright really doesn't have much ability to fight back, because if you want to go up against a company that's worth almost $1 trillion and you're worth $100, it's going to be really hard to win the lawsuit. All right? The General Conference is worth a few small billions of dollars in the course of a year. So that's how much risk the church has. The church doesn't like paying $15,000 for a $7 picture. Let me tell you where it gets really bad, is music. This idea that music is free is not found in the law anywhere. People that write music expect to get paid for it. People that sing the songs expect to get paid for it. In fact, on a piece of music, you have the following copyrights. The person who wrote the music has a copyright. The person who arranged the music has a copyright. The person that found the people to sing on the song, they have a copyright. The people that sang the song, they have a copyright unless they were paid and then they gave up their copyright. The person who mixed the audio for the music has a copyright. Unless he was hired by a company to mix it, then the company has the copyright. The person who made it into a CD, or if it's a music video, a DVD, they have a copyright. The person who designed the cover of the disc, they have a copyright. The person who put it in the container and then shipped it to a store to be sold, they have a right of a copyright. So if you use a piece of music that's not yours, how many copyrights have you broken? A lot, okay? Any one of those can come after you. And with these little bots, there's no human being involved with coming after you. Okay, so you need to be very careful with music. Music's very easy to find on the internet. These companies, Sony Music and the other, they can find their music pretty fast. And just don't assume because you live in West Africa that they're not going to maybe decide they're going to make an example of somebody in West Africa. Okay? Is this clear? Okay, let me say one thing. How to use music? Well, you can write your own music and perform it yourself and record it yourself, and you can use that. Or you can purchase music, just like you do the pictures and everything else, to buy the music. There's something called public domain. You familiar with the term public domain? Music that was written by Bach or Mozart or whoever, people that are long dead, their music is public domain. Bach and Mozart and whoever don't expect to get paid for it because they're dead. Depends upon the country, but usually like 50 to 70 years after the music was created, was written, it will no longer have a copyright. It'll be public domain. So you find a CD over an orchestra that's playing a great piece of Bach, so you put it on your video because it's public domain, right? Because Bach's dead a long time ago? No, it's not. The writing of the music is public domain, but the performance, making the CD, shipping it to the store, that's all copyrighted. All right? Let me just make it very clear. If you break copyright, it's theft. That's one of the commandments. All right? And the exposure that you're putting on the church is excessive because the church could probably feel that they were fortunate that they only had to pay $15,000 because if a lawyer came after them, the price probably would have been greater because the lawyers have to get paid. So it could have been 2 or 3 times that amount. Is this clear about copyright? Yeah. All right. If you get a piece of software that you don't know where it came from and it's on a CD that has no label, you're pretty sure that's a pirated copyright. What do pirates do? Why is it called pirated? What do pirates do? Pirates used to sail around the ocean stealing everybody else's stuff, right? So it's pirated. They're telling you it's stolen stuff. That's what the name means. If it's a piece of music, say it was a piece of music that was recorded, it's a background track. So somebody sings over it at church. Somebody bought it at a music store and they sing over it at church. That's a valid use. That's what it was created for. They bought it and it was good. You record it and you put it in your video, you have violated a copyright because the copyright didn't include broadcast or dissemination beyond just singing it in a church. At the last GC session, there was a lot of music that was sung at GC session in San Antonio. Hundreds of pieces of music were sung. After the event, every single piece of music had to be destroyed. Every recording, every Xerox sheet of paper, everything had to be destroyed because someone didn't do the legal background correctly. So if you want to listen to music from General Conference session in 2015, you can't. It was physically and completely destroyed. At Hope Channel, we made all sorts of recordings and sold recordings, and we had to refund everybody their money, and we had to get them all to ship their DVDs back to us for destruction. It's serious, okay? It could be free for you to listen to in your home or through your headsets, but it probably isn't free for you to put on international TV broadcast, unless the rights said you can get rights for international TV broadcast. But if somebody says, I'll give you a download and it's free, I have the copyright, and then they don't have the copyright, you're as guilty as they are, even though you didn't know, because you should have checked. So if it's like your uncle's, brother's, cousin's, mother's, father's, little kid's website that he started loading music and said he can have free copies, just you using it because he said it was free doesn't take you off the legal problem. Yes? No. Because they're not cleared for every country. But you do have the right to pick up the phone or go to the internet and ask, in Ghana, can I use this? And the lawyers will check, yes. Because all the laws of every country are different. They can't cover everything at once. There are a few things that they've got global copyrights on. Generally, it's not going to be music or whatever. This has a global copyright. Nobody in the world can use this. Can't use the word Hope Channel. A group in Canada got sued over it because they were using the term. People go on the internet and make YouTube sites called Hope Channel that get approached about. A church member can use this within the realm of what the church says it can be used. Okay? Really, this is for the church to use, for the conferences and stuff. They can use this with the stipulation they don't change it. That it's done just like that. Because if you change it, maybe somebody else's copyright. The rules are international. How they're expressed in each country and how they're applied can vary, but copyright law is an international thing. So it's not the church. The church would love it if nothing was copyrighted, because then we could use everything. But everything is copyrighted. And even though they don't say it's copyrighted, there's an implied copyright. So unless the original owner told you yes, and you know for sure that it was yes, and he or she was the original owner, and that they will testify to that in court, if it comes to that, don't use it. Well, there's an example. If you were to take like Hope Channel and say, there's several media outlets of the Adventist Church, and you put their logos, Hope Channel, AWR, whatever, local ones there may be. That's fine. That's what it was created for. If a church member, the really problem we have is with church members. If the church member were to take this and then say, here's my YouTube Hope channel that I created, and because I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, I'm going to use the Seventh-day Adventist TV logo and put it on my website, that's a problem. And people do that all the time. At Hope Channel, we're constantly finding people that do that. In fact, there's even a Muslim group in the Middle East right now that took that Hope Channel, that logo, and putting it on their videos, which have nothing to do with Hope Channel or the Adventist Church or anything else. So if you don't know, go to the user and ask, even if it's a church entity. Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone feels like they're really under the burden of the law right now, because, yeah, good. Starting with page 18, image release form. If you do this for Hope Channel or anybody else, the church or whatever, you need one of these forms. You may want to have your conference or union lawyer look it over and make it correct for the law in Ghana. This is one for Hope Channel Inc. You don't want yours to say Hope Channel Inc. You want yours to say whatever the institution is. And this works for American law. Just have a lawyer look it over and make sure it works for the law in Ghana too. Basically, it says I'm going to use your picture, your face, your likeness, your image, and you're going to let me do it under these certain terms. So when you do a story when you're talking to somebody and you're recording their image, make sure you have them sign this, even if it's a news story. They need to sign it. They need to understand why they were just recorded. Otherwise, their son may be a lawyer, and they take it to court in Brazil. The good news is this: if the person is a church employee and you're doing the story for the church, they don't have to sign it because it's considered a normal part of their job. The next thing is for music, for original composition. This is just if the person owns all the rights and all the details here that they need to provide and all the disclaimers that they need to read before signing. If someone uses something that's not copyright, everyone in the process of using it is equally liable unless one of the parties has done what's called due diligence. They did everything reasonable to make sure that the item was copyrighted. So when the person said, I have the rights and I can give the rights to you and all that, and they sign the document, it holds you clear because you've done everything you could do to make sure that you were correct under the law. And then the other one is just for looking at, but that's in Hope Channel in North America. That's the document that they use when programs are given to the network to air. Once they're approved to air as far as quality and content and everything, then they're asked to sign this document. Okay? I think it's very worthwhile to just read through those later, just to see what they contain. And you might also get a better idea what the issues are. So if you're walking down the street and you see a nice picture laying on the sidewalk and you use it in your video, is that a copyright infringement? No. Picture was just laying there on the ground. Picked it up and used it. It's copyrighted. It doesn't have to say copyright on it to be copyrighted. If the person has said anybody can use it, you have no knowledge of that. Okay?
Okay, what about, I'm shooting a video, the picture is on the wall.
Don't shoot the picture on the wall.
I'm shooting you.
Move me so you don't see the picture on the wall. Have you ever seen in movies and stuff and in advertisements and stuff when they're holding a camera or whatever, that somebody's put a piece of tape over the camera? You ever notice that? You never see the name. That's a copyright issue. They don't want Nikon coming back to them and saying, you used our camera in one of your films, you owe us. So they put a little thing over it. So yeah, it's still a camera, and it's still a Nikon camera, but you didn't use the name Nikon to somehow promote your product by putting it in your film. If you see movies and TV shows and the like, and the person's in the TV show and they're drinking a Coca-Cola, guess why they didn't cover it up? Because Coca-Cola paid them to put it in the movie. It's an advertisement. It's called product placement. You'll see that in movies. Excuse me, you talked about water, now You ever see them doing an interview or something with somebody and they blurt out the shirt or they blurt out the hat? It's copyright. So no matter where it appears or where the logo is, where the image is, the person comes to your interview and they're wearing a Nike shirt with a Nike emblem, ask them to change their shirt. Okay? One thing you do also doing interviews, when you can, you don't always have this choice. When you can, like if you're using their home or something, ask them to have 2 sets of clothes available. Just in case they have a copyright, or just in case they get up there and they want to wear all white and other things that don't work well for a camera. I hope this is clear. Basically, if you don't know if you can use it, you can't. If you make it yourself, you can use it. There's a section, I'm going to go through it really fast because after this we're going to do a project. It says using graphics. Remember I showed you with the video, with the editing, the titling, you can put the names in and stuff. You know, in a show or in a video thing, whatever, maybe you want to put a Bible verse in or something. Those are called graphics. And you use those if you want to make something clear, or to show a map, or to simplify things, or to stress a point. Like usually you put a Bible verse up to stress a point about the Bible verse. Here's just some guidelines to go on. Use a sans serif font, not less than 50 pixels. When you use the program, it'll tell you how big the item is. You need to have it big enough so you can see it. And high definition, 50 pixels. Don't go smaller than 50 pixels high. Okay, it'll have all sorts of numbers, 28, 11 is a popular one for email, but for video it needs to be at least 50. Do you know what a sans serif font is? Okay, use a sans serif font because they're easy to read. It's best, unless it's a banner at the top, it's best to use upper and lowercase. Things that are written in upper and lowercase are easier to read than things that are all capital letters. And the days of the internet, people think that all capital letters means they're shouting at them. So just upper and lowercase, where it's easy to read. This is something that happens a lot. If this were TV, let me find something here. If this were TV like a video, we would, for no reason, no situation whatsoever, would we put that many words on the screen at one time. Because one, when it's broadcast, they probably can't see it anyways. And if they could see it, no one wants to read that. And two, you'd have to hold it up there 5 minutes for everybody, at least, for them to read it. So when it comes to graphics, keep it to 4 lines. Because people will read something 4 lines, if you give them 5 lines, 6 lines, it starts to get too much. To be honest with you, people won't read it. They'll just see it come up and they won't bother with it. Don't dress up the fonts. Don't put fonts that are like multiple colors with 3-color drop shadow on a purple and green background with whatever. Just keep it very simple, very, very direct and simple.
So say 3 lines is okay, or 2 lines?
1 line is fine, 2 is fine, 3 lines, 4 lines is fine. 5 lines is fine. If you have like 4 lines, but there are a couple of words left over, then you can go 5 lines. But if you want to go 6, then put 3 on one page and 3 on the next page. Okay? That's just, to be honest with you, that's my personal rule, because I just realize people aren't going to read it. If you put too much up there, they won't read it. They'll see the words, they won't bother it. It's too much. People watch videos and stuff, they're passive. They kind of want to relax, and you give them something that's work, and they won't do it. Okay, we talked about stock footage, and we've done the rest of that. Okay, this is what we're going to do for an assignment. Hopefully everyone has something to record pictures with, video. If you don't, team up with somebody that does. In fact, when we get in probably in groups of 2 would be easiest. So let's do groups of 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to record a little video. Everyone's going to do their own video, but let me tell you what's going to be in it. Okay, this is what we're going to do. Everyone's going to do a little short video, and these are the elements. The video is about these meetings. You need to find 2 people to interview. Okay, maybe why be good in 2 because you could like interview each other. But 2 short interviews. It's going to be about the participants. Okay, so I don't want to do 30 interviews. So don't interview me. It's going to be about you guys and the participants, about the meetings, about what they get out of the meetings. Okay, make sure you record audio. Make sure you don't forget that these are interviews. You need audio, and also record B-roll. What's B-roll?
Audio with pictures to represent.
Yeah, it's the pictures that aren't the interview. What would B-roll be for this video? What things would you take pictures of?
The room, the individuals.
The room, the people in the room.
Contributing, taking notes.
Yeah, maybe a picture of the sign outside. I don't think there is a sign outside, but something like that. The building from the outside. Okay?
Yeah.
Is everybody clear?
Clear.
If you have a phone, you're recording to a phone, you're just gonna have to like hold your phone out for them to talk into. It is good if you end up using a phone to do your stories. You probably really do want to have a microphone, not the one on the phone, but an external microphone that you can plug into the phone. Actually, telephones record really good audio for some reason, a lot better than they do pictures. I've done stuff for it's gonna be like broadcast on radio and TV, and a DJ came to announce it, and I couldn't get the recorder to work, and they're like, well, okay, watch the, click, click, click into their phone, and they did it in their phone. It sounded great. It's like, why are we buying all these microphones? But anyways, it's best if you have an external mic that you can hold out. But for now, we don't have it, so do without. Is this clear?
Yes.
All right, there's no time limit on how long the interviews have to be. I'll just tell you in advance, you probably don't want to do 45 minutes on each. And what time is it now? It's almost 3 o'clock. So let's go to 4:30. All right? Then come back with your parts. If you have a computer, do any of you have editing software in your computer? If you do, I want you to start editing yours up whenever you're done with it. Okay?
You can use phone to do it.
What's that?
Phone. Can we use phone to edit the videos?
If you want to do it on your phone, you can do it on your phone. Okay? But the main thing is between now and 4:30 that we get all the elements shot. If you have a way to edit it, then go ahead and start editing it.